We all know him as Spencer Quinn, the Chet and Bernie mysteries. Cat on a Hot Tin Woof. Peter Abrahams, which is your real name, and I still don't know why you can't just be Peter Abrahams on your books, but that's
That
another
makes two
story.
of us.
Right? Oh, it does
That
make
makes
two
two.
of us?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I don't like thinking, okay, it's Peter, right? It's Peter. Is it Peter or is it Spencer? I'm sure you too have moments where you can't remember if you're Chet or Bernie.
No, I think pretty much now it's Peter. Everybody
Oh,
knows.
good, good. So
Yeah.
you're all in. You guys are all in on the secret. Spencer Quinn, you're so cool. You just say, oh no, that's Peter. And this is your 16th book,
This
18th
is the
book?
16th in the Chet and Bernie mystery series.
And it's so beloved, and people just can't bring me some more of Chet and Bernie, they say. And this one is even more contemporary funny because he's on the look for actually truly a cat, but a famous internet cat. And I think that's what makes it so trendy is there are so many darn internet dogs and particularly cats. At what point did you think, oh, yeah, Chet and Bernie have got to get involved with one of these cats?
First of all, Chet has a long history with cats. Uh, so it goes right back to the sort of Chet and Bernie origin story, which is in a short story called A Cat Was Involved that I actually didn't write before beginning the series. It came after the third or fourth
Oh,
book.
really?
Yeah, and they asked me if I wanted to write some short stories for that are digital only, digital and audio only.
Okay.
Um, so I agreed, and I think there are about seven of them, but one called A Cat Was Involved is the one that explains the day that Chet met Bernie. So Chet is the dog, Bernie is
Yes.
the detective. Chet tells these stories in the first person. It's just like Holmes and Watson, and he's the sort of Watson, except he's a dog. But this is the most important part, as I'm sure you've seen by now, Tracy. He's not a talking dog. He
Right. He's
canine
a
is
thinking dog. Right.
yeah, he's a narrating dog. So briefly, In a Cat was involved. At this point, Chet was in canine school, and he flunks out on the very last day when only the leaping test was left, and leaping is his very best thing. And all he remembers about why he flunked out was that a cat was involved and there might have been some blood.
That's so great.
He washed out of canine school, so he's a failure in that sense. But it's the day he met Bernie, this private eye who's not doing too well. And that's the day they came together. And Bernie's fortunes turned around.
It's
So that
heaven. Now I have to go find that short story and the other ones. People can find them on audio and digitally
yes, at all the normal retail outlets like
platforms.
Amazon,
Yeah.
B&N, yeah, iTunes, they're all there. Yeah.
That's so great. So funny that he flunked out. And as you say, and leaping is his best thing. This is the way he talks, thinks. He doesn't speak aloud, but he's talking to us, the reader. And I love what he's always doing these asides. Leaping's my best thing. And I love that Peter Abrahams, you said leaping is his best thing, which of course isn't proper English exactly, but it's babyish either. It's the way
No,
a dog might say it.
it's partly that, and it's partly like crime fiction Argo,
Right.
which is there's something noirish and Sam Spady going on with Chet.
So when you got that first inspiration, were you the guy that had read all? I did this at one point. I wanted to write a mystery thriller. I didn't have the guts for it, but I read all the Raymond Chandlers and all of those really cool books. Were you steeped in all that yourself?
Very much, and especially the writing of Ross McDonald, who came another like LA, like Raymond Chandler, but to my sensibility, a better writer. And I read all his books and loved them. And in fact, there are elements of a Ross McDonald style mystery in Cat on a Hot Tin Woof. All Ross McDonald plots are basically the same. There's a crime in the past that was unsolved, and then there's a crime in the future, in the present. And while looking into that, the whole past is revealed. So, in other words, these crimes in the past set off these sort of shock waves toward the future. And he did that over. And I love it because I think it's morally correct in a way. At least I hope it is.
Nice,
You know,
nice.
that no crimes are really forgotten, and so that methodology comes up in the Chet and Bernie series, although it's narrated by a dog.
Narrated by a dog whose asides always go back to the past. He's forever saying, "Oh, that reminds me of the time of the yellow car and the flying ostrich." That isn't actually a quote. He said, "But that's for another time." So you're thinking, "Oh my God, did I miss that?" But no, it really is something that was in an earlier Chet and Bernie mystery.
Yes,
So how does Peter
usually
Abrahams remember all that?
he's getting. I don't know. I One of the things that makes it much easier now is the technology, and it's so easy now to search through. I've got all the books, right? I've got, I can search through, and let's say I think, oh, that case must have been around book 7, and I look through, and then type
Wow.
in the keywords, and I find what it is.
You have it in your mind that there was another story that could echo this one, let's say.
Not always. Sometimes there are stories that actually haven't been written about, but the Chet still refers to, that I may or may
Oh,
not do later. Yes.
oh, that's very sneaky of you because I think my memory isn't half as good as Peter's, but really, that was a story? And then, of course, it turns out that might be just a red herring or just Chet musing to himself.
Yes. Don't forget they've had a very busy career in crime solving. Back to your original question, though, just so cats were there. And I've
Right.
noticed these internet, with this series, all sorts, everything can seep into it. That's what I didn't realize when I began it. It can be about everything that even serious literature is about, but
Yes.
in this detour off it. And so the idea of cat sensations on the internet. And so there is this cat, Miss Kitty, and she's lost and found cat that came to this mother-daughter, single mother-daughter, really not having no money, really up against it. And just by accident, this Biddy, the daughter, makes a kind of online little video of her and Miss
For
Kitty,
fun.
and it
Yeah.
for fun, and it goes viral, and they're Hollywood agents now, and there's real money involved, but it's not. These people, I think, are quite sympathetic. It happened by
Yes.
accident, and they're really in need, and they also love this cat. It's not like they're using
Right.
the
Not
cat.
at
They
all.
love the cat, and but this cat has disappeared, and it has to be found very quickly, and no one can know. That's the
And
setup.
so,
So that's the case for Chet and Bernie.
okay, so I've picked out a first passage for you to read just to for anyone who isn't already familiar with the series, or if you are and you're excited that there's a new one, which is reason for excitement. This is you set it up, but this is when Chet goes into the room and is going to check out, he's going to help Bernie right off the bat to find some trace of this cat.
Yes, so they go to the house where Biddy, the daughter, teenage daughter, and her mom lived. And the first place they're searching is the house, and they go into Biddy's bedroom. So do you want me to
Yes,
excuse
please.
me? We went in. Biddy's bedroom at the end of a short hallway on the second floor was not very big and pretty simple, except for a sort of command center, like you see in movies about going to space, wherever that may be. Biddy's command center, much smaller, of course, had a curved desk with a big monitor and a smaller one, a hefty looking microphone, and some cameras. A comfy looking purple pillow with gold threading lay on the desk, much too small for me to sit on, which I never would have done anyway, on account of how strongly it smelled of cat, as you've probably guessed already. The whole house smelled of cat, but here in Biddy's bedroom, it was overpowering, like I was being attacked. Naturally, my next move would have been to rip that purple pillow to shreds, but I'm a total pro. We're both pros, me and Bernie. How else could the little detective agency be so successful? Leaving out the finances part. Total pros do their ripping to shreds when the time is right. But one more thing about the smell. All cats smell of cat, but each cat is a bit different. All cats are also good at looking down their tiny noses at you, But the cat that hung out in Biddy's bedroom, Miss Kitty, if I was in the picture, was a looking down her tiny nose chap. I never wanted to meet her. I just knew. Then it hit me that meeting her might actually be the goal of this case, if it wasn't. That was a shocker. I couldn't think of what to do next, other than playing dead. Playing dead is one of my best tricks. I decided to save it for later.
You see, this is the thing about him. I feel that some of us may relate to the way he puts all these jumping from one thing to another ideas together. I think our minds work like that. I don't know if yours says, Peter, I could play dead. Yeah, it's one of my best things. Never mind, we'll do that later. Or I could rip up that pillow, but I'm a pro. See, we're really pros. That's why we're such a success, except for the finances. He's like this guy that you could just sit next to on a bar at a bar and just be regaled for hours nursing one small beer. He's just so voluble and in a kind of humble way. It's adorable. He's just adorable. He was like that when he first got born in your brain, wasn't he? He just got born like this.
Yes, okay. Yes, definitely. He was born like this. When the idea first came, I just wrote an experimental page just to see if it would work, what it would be like, because you can't, if it's going to be totally from a dog, a lot of what's part of a traditional mystery, like a accumulation of clues in a logical order, and
Right.
drawing a conclusion from that is
Right.
out the window. And so technically, it's actually difficult at times, but what I found was he has this sort of id. It's almost like, okay, we're all animals. We're animals. He's an animal, but there are things going on inside that have to be controlled. And so there's a back, and we have that too,
Yeah.
human beings. But so he's been trained and things like that, and he knows what's expected, but there's also what he wants. And I think in that scene, you see it. He is this total pro, although a canine washout, but he is a crime solver. But at the same time, he wants to rip up that pillow, and
Yeah.
he wants no part of the case.
Yes.
So there's a tension, an inner tension.
That's exactly right. And I think it's what brings us along is it's funny and he's funny, but I think he's a mirror of some part of ourselves where we do have these warring emotions. I want to just walk out of the store and not pay because this line is too long. No, I'm not going to do that. You don't do that. But that person in front of me, oh my God, they're making so much noise on their phone. I'm just going to tell them to turn their phone off. No, I can't do that because then they'll shoot me. I think that this thought process that he encourages is very freeing. You think, oh, we could all be that free in our own head. We don't have to act on it.
I think I agree with you on that. And the other thing I think for people who don't know the series, they're not really cozies. There's a noirish aspect. Dark things happen, and
Yeah.
they sometimes happen to Chet. But what I've discovered about, I almost feel like I didn't do it. Like it came to, I found it. Chet can have dark things happen, but he bounces back to his reset position very quickly. And that reset position is one of joy in life. And I think maybe that's why readers like it.
Yes.
Um, he goes back to this totally engaged, loving, by the way, character. He mentions a number of times that he's hardly ever met a human he didn't like. Not even the perps and gangbangers, he says.
Yeah. And I think there's part of him that just bounces back and is optimistic and shrugs it off like a dog would shake off and go, okay, all right, now where were we? It's almost like he just can do that. And I think modern life, we could use a little more of that for ourselves. Just shake stuff off and go, yeah, okay, that's done. Nothing I can do about it now. Next.
You're Tracy, you're so right. The other thing is, it's not just as a metaphor that he shakes himself. The way dogs give themselves a good shake, and
Yeah.
it's a mood change almost. So he does that. He has a head to tail and then back to the head shake
Yeah.
that he does, and it's all over.
Yeah. Which
And
is heaven. It makes him, I think, really why people love the series so much. It's really funny.
oh,
I
thank
mean,
you.
it is, the stories are good. There's a pig in this one too, and I was tempted to bring in the pig because we all are interested in pigs. We should be, and they're fascinating and complex, and there's a pig. along with Kitty.
Not only that, Senor Piggy. I mean, to
Oh,
give
I
him
beg
his
your pardon. Yes,
moniker, and it turns out he carries with him an important clue that he's
yes.
actually suggested. Carries with him, he really does
He
carry.
does actually
Yeah,
carry it. But I
yeah.
mean, that's where the book just has this whimsy. And you're right, it still is dark things happen and there's bad people doing things. And has the cat really been catnapped? That's what we need to find out. And if so, is she okay? And where is she? All right, I've picked out another slightly longer passage for you because what I really want to do for people, you'll always remember Cat on a Hot Tin Woof. You can't forget that title. They're all puns and they're all great, but this is a winner title wise. But I also want people to get a strong flavor for what how immersed you can get in reading. How it just carries you along like you're just like on a lovely, I don't know, a boat on the Thames on a spring day. It just carries you along and you can forget all about what's going on in the real world, which is really important, as Chet would agree with that. So I don't know if you want to, it's not far along in the book, but tell me if you set it up as best you want.
I think they're still searching for initial clues.
Yes,
To the idea, Miss Kitty has disappeared. How did that happen? Is she just like a lost cat, or is there something more nefarious going
right.
on? All right, and of course, in a mystery, that's what that I'll read this scene and you'll see.
Yes, please.
Next came what we call searching the premises. We start at the top and end at the bottom. I lead, Bernie follows. That's pretty much it. Give it a whirl sometime, but you won't have me, so maybe not. What we're looking for, big guy, is any way Miss Kitty could have escaped. A window, open even a crack. A vent with no grill, the kind of thing, Bernie said. Of course I did. So good to be on the job. First, we tried the upstairs bathroom, very tidy, with one sink for Biddy and one for Evelyn's the mother. A
Right.
little detail my nose picked up and filed away on its own. My nose having a sort of nose mind, perhaps hard to explain. Miss Kitty had been here, but hardly ever, and not recently, so I sat down, all done, and watched Bernie work. Such a joy, even if the work is pointless. There were two windows, one overlooking the backyard, desert style, just like the front, but with a small swimming pool, dead leaves floating on the surface. The other on the back wall of the shower stall, both closed tight. The ceiling above the shower had a vent in it, but covered with a grill. Bernie reached up and gave it a little tug. It didn't budge. Then he crouched down, opened the cabinet under the sink, peered inside. Twice we'd found hiding holes in cabinets under sinks. The first time with a time bomb ticking away inside. The second with a diamondback in a bad mood. The second time was worse by far. There was no hidey hole under this sink. I did glimpse a toilet plungers being an interest of mine, but Bernie closed the door before anything that might have happened. The rubbery end of the toilet plunger has a certain appeal, but to be fair, so does the wooden stick. We went through the whole house just like that, total pros. Evelyn's bedroom, where a bed for two, was still unmade, so it was easy to see it was only slept in by one. Downstairs bathroom, a cozy little room, perhaps called a den, living room, dining room, kitchen. Nada, Bernie said. There was a door beside the fridge. It had one of those locks with a round thing that has to be turned. We're still working on that kind, me and Bernie. I've had some success with sliding bolts. We worked long and hard on that, perhaps longer than absolutely necessary, what with a Slim Jim being the reward for every little step of the way, even the littlest. I would have taken a stab at the round thing then and there, but Bernie turned it before I could even get my hopes up. He opened the door and we stepped down into the garage. There's indoor air and then there's outdoor air. That's basic. In garages, you often get a combo, and that was what we had now. As for Miss Kitty's scent, we had that too. I followed it from the front of the garage, which was mostly uncluttered, to the back, which was total clutter. Broken furniture, a fridge with no door, a washer also with no door, stacks of mildewy books, boxes of mildewy papers, dusty clothing hanging on a rail, men's type clothing like suits and collared shirts. I followed Miss Kitty's scent trail to the dusty clothing and looked back for Bernie. He was checking the side windows, none of them the kind that opened. Then he noticed a set of golf clubs leaning against the wall. A round plastic tag hung from one of the side compartments. He examined the tag, pulled out one of the clubs, gave it a waggle. Once we worked a case where a driving range, buckets and buckets of balls, cheapest driving range west of the Mississippi, come knock yourself out, run by a buddy by the name of Shaky Insterwald, turned out to be important. That was where I'd first seen Bernie waggle a golf club. His waggle is off the charts. Waggle, Bernie, waggle. And maybe he would have kept waggling, but at that moment I felt a tiny breeze coming from behind the hanging clothes and made my low, rumbly bark. Bernie paused in mid-waggle and came over, the club still in his hand. His gaze went to me, then to the hanging suits and shirts. He parted them with the golf club, revealing a small window in the back wall. And what do you know? One of the glass panes was missing. The little detective agency, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh God, it's so great. There's no better example of what we've been talking about than that section. What a waggle is. This has nothing to do with looking for the cat, but it has everything to do with Chet's view on life and the fact that we all should just let our mind wander. We don't have to be also checking things off on a list of to-dos. Just let your mind wander. I think that really is the beauty of the book. Do you think, in a word, that if there is a dog spectrum, personality spectrum, is Chet on it? I don't think it's not called the autism spectrum or the Asperger's spectrum. Now it's called neurodivergent. But I just mean the way his mind just has a mind of its own, like his nose has a nose mind.
Yes, his nose has a nose. I think it's more to me that he's just totally alive. He's he's just in the present and totally alive. And don't forget, even though some of this may, like the waggle, Bernie waggle and everything, isn't directly about the case, at the same time, he's found where the cat escaped from.
Correct.
So he is a
Yes.
good crime solver in his way.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Little Detective Agency.
Yes, and he's
I mean,
proud of.
just so proud of it, and so all the things that he knows he's good at, and he isn't the least bit shy or bashful to say it. I guess it's just the fact that he can let this stream of consciousness happen while still sticking to the point eventually,
Yes, he still eventually does. Exactly. That's exactly it. And
which is,
some of what might seem irrelevant can be relevant later.
yes, exactly. Now, in real life, do people who share your life say that you have any of these qualities, you personally?
No, they don't.
So do
They,
you keep it all inside and just give it all to Chet? Because you strike me as someone who could be joyful over nothing
no,
in
oh
a
no,
good
they
way.
know that. Yes, they know that. But okay, that's a great question. Don't forget, when I sit down, it's very hard to describe this, what the process actually is,
Okay.
because it's almost like I'm both, I have a physical sensation that in my mind when I'm doing it, like there's a little switch that happens, and then the voice of Chat starts. But it's like I'm both the director at the
Mhm.
controls and the actor at the same
Yeah,
time. That's what
that's
happened.
well described.
Yeah.
So there is a Chet lurking inside Peter Abrahams, but
There must
there
be,
has to be, because
there
otherwise
has,
you can't pour out his little heart, his little doggy
okay,
heart for
okay,
16 books.
okay, yes, there is for sure, and it's actually always been there.
I'm so happy that this series has given it freedom to express itself. We've run out of time, but Cat on a Hot Tin Woof, you have a treat in store, everyone. And I'm sure you're working on the next one, Peter, because it's just who you are. Keep that lovely part of yourself alive and well for yourself and your family, and of course, for us, your readers. Thank you so much.
Oh, the pleasure was mine, Tracy. Very nice to see you.
And you as well.
Thank you.